So that shiny new game just came out. The Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria. And you want to know if it's worth your time, right? Well, let's take a look at the game for some first impressions. On first startup, you're greeted with a cutscene. A dwarf named Gimli is speaking and is inviting dwarves to rally together and return to Moria. After that is character customization. There's a decent amount of options here, but nothing crazy. I'll have a few examples shown on screen. Once done customizing, you name your character and then either create your own world or join a world. You can also host it or play offline. I just did offline everything here. The dwarves can't get the gate open, so they try plan B. However, as you are carrying a barrel, an earthquake happens and purple smoke starts pouring out. Your character is the only one to fall into a pit. Of course, you're in a dark room alone next. I decided to take a look at the menus here. Goals is your missions tab. Appendices is information. Map, I hope you know what that is. Crafting is where you make things like torches and simple items. Building is where you create bigger things like walls and pillars and tables. Lastly, inventory, I hope you know what that is as well. Some simple resources can usually be found on the ground, such as wood, cloth, and metal pieces. Crafting a torch is as easy as picking up wood from the ground and going to the crafting tab. One thing I noticed is there's no grabbing animation. When you equip something, it just pops into existence. I thought that was a little odd, but not a big issue. Certain areas can be mined for resources or mined completely through to the next area. Just need to craft a pickaxe, which is also easy. Mining into the dirt felt pretty cool though. For a second I thought it was in Minecraft. It gets pretty noticeable pretty quickly that this game is mostly about crafting and mining. I mean, sure, there was a little story at the beginning, but I played for over an hour and a half and did not encounter another story scene. The only being I actually talked to was this giant white raven that sounds utterly ridiculous.
Ah, are you from our camp?
Thank the winds! I am Arik, son of Arak.
A few times I came across doors covered in cursed runes. They can't be opened, at least as of now in the game, but when you hit them they make a cool sound and also looks pretty cool.
What is wrong with
While exploring, I came across my first enemy, an ugly goblin. I killed it quick enough, but unfortunately the little green giblet had friends that kept on coming. I died, but it wasn't a skill issue, I swear. When you respawn, it's back at the beginning, though it seems the resources on the ground respawned so you can recreate your items. Also in the distance, I can see where I died, and once you get back to where you died, you can pick your items back up. The room I died in actually had some useful utilities, like a stone hearth for cooking, a furnace for making ingots, a forge for creating weapons or shields, and a map stone. Some items like the map stone I couldn't rebuild because it required a black diamond. For the time I played, I never found one of those. There were other things I came across that I couldn't rebuild at the time as well, but I'll just skip over those. I decided to make this area into a little base. I placed a sleeping mat here, I made walls, I created chests, I built myself a sword and shield, and things were looking up. I was prepared to move on. However, I came to the realization that enemies literally just kept on spawning after a while. I cannot have any peace. Luckily, the enemies are fairly easy to kill. The combat as a whole is very, very simple. Honestly, at this point, I'm not sure what else there is to say. I played for almost 2 hours, and for those 2 hours, this is all I did. I moved up the path while crafting and fighting monsters. I'd come across new areas which were neat, but there wasn't much else to it. I really expected more of a story experience with this game, which it turns out to be more of a crafting survival type game, which isn't bad, but it's just different than what I thought it would be. I'm sure there's more story further on, but I think I would have preferred this to be a single player story game, not so much what it is now. Playing as a dwarf is certainly unique though. I don't think I've played a game as a dwarf. Overall, I like games when it's Lord of the Rings themed, and I'd say I like this one. The graphics looked pretty good, the Lord of the Rings theme is nice, but I do wish it was a more story-rich environment. It's an alright game, and I have nothing negative to really say about what I experienced. That's my personal opinion though. Whether or not this is your type of game, I'll see you on the next one.